a new rise. If somebody lift those hands and say, it's a new rise. I need you to speak it over your own life tonight. It's a new rise. It's a new rise.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Propel Deep Dive. I'm Megan DiMartino, and I am thrilled that you're here with us today, live on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and all podcasting platforms. Before I begin, I'd like to share a little bit about the Propel program and the Propel Deep Dive and the Propel community for our new guests. This is an ongoing program. We're here every Wednesday evening for the Propel Deep Dive, where I interview a guest and they share their stories of how they have propelled their business and their lives through many challenges that they've had, not unlike you. And so we want to give you a bit of encouragement and inspiration throughout my guest this evening, Felicia Reed, and stories. About 2 years ago, maybe 3 now, I sold the asset purchase of my luxury day medical and wellness spa. I've been manufacturing clinical result-oriented skincare for 35 years and the Novitas Spa Medical Rejuvenation Clinic for the last 20. And I was approached by someone about selling my business. Well, I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do. So in prayer, I realized that it was time to let go of that piece, but not another portion of it. We do regenerative stem cell, as well as work with our medical grade skincare products. And I do speaking and coaching and the like. But I also knew that it was time to put together a program for you, because I've started, scaled, and sustained 3 7-figure businesses and have sold 2 over the last 30 some odd years. And so I knew it was time for me to share with you tools that could help you start a business. And even if you have a business, to then scale that business and to really reorganize or evolve that business as well. So that's where the Propel Business and Life Activation Program came from. And then I started doing this again. We had in 20 started a live and podcast called Unique Leaders Live and podcast. So you can go back to my YouTube page and find all of those fabulous Unique Leaders Live programs. And so a couple of years ago, as I was building the Propel program, it was time to segue over to the Propel brand. So we renamed it, relaunched it, and it is called, still under the same YouTube brand of Megan DiMartino and now Propel. But basically you can go there and watch all of these Propel lives, and then go to all the Spotify and all the podcasting platforms. But then I started the Propel community, and that has a daily inspiration nugget from me, a weekly newsletter, and also I've been doing summits and different workshops, and you're privy to all of that. And so you also have an archive of all of these Propel deep dives. So it's a one-stop place. So I encourage you to go to propel.megandimartino.info.com/info and join the Propel community. So with that's a lot of information, but that's a backstory of what I've been up to, what I do, and why I do it. And what the why of it is you, to help you not only start, scale, and sustain the business and life of your dreams, but to give you that encouragement. And that is all about what the Propel Deep Dive is about. So my guest this evening is my lovely friend, Felicia Reed. I've known of Felicia here in the Austin Texas market, where I live as well. And she is a world-class, world-renowned photographer. But she is also a speaker and a motivational coach and consultant in business, and she will share all of that. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you my guest tonight, Felicia Reed.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Hi.
So glad you're here, Felicia. You know, a long time coming. I asked you, a while back to join me on the deep dive. And, God is in control, and it's his timing. So we were
Perfect
at
time.
that. Exactly. And that's
Thanks
what
for
I
having
really
me.
want for my guest, is their timing to, share about what's going on with you.
Yeah.
So with that said, why don't we go back to young Felicia? Where did you go? And, I said you're a world-renowned photographer. And so when did that get instilled into you? And lead us then to more the current day.
Well, I grew up in a tiny little, I'm from Texas, born and raised in Texas, and I grew up in a little country town, Luling. It's a little town down the street, like about 40 minutes from Austin. And I went to school there, and I'm the oldest of seven, the only one to graduate high school and the only one to graduate college. And to this day, and when I graduated in 94, I decided I wanted to go to college. And I went to the University of North Texas in Denton. I wanted to get away from home, but I didn't want to go too far from home, but that was kind of far.
Right.
I mean, from my mom. But then I had to move back home a year afterwards, because in 95, my mom passed away from breast cancer. And so we have just this strong family history of breast cancer, but she passed away. And then I decided to move. I wanted to finish school, and I was kind of on my own. Remember, I'm the oldest, the only one that was actually doing something with their lives at the time. And I couldn't go back to Denton. I wanted to move closer where I can get a job. And so I just moved here to Austin. And that's where I met my husband. I've been married 27 years this year. I have two boys.
Congrats.
And, but yeah, I moved to Austin, went to school here. And I worked at St. David's. I did a lot of St. David's Main on 32nd. I was volunteering there. I was a front desk there. Went to school for X-ray. I did X-ray. I did ultrasound, and I did a lot of things. I was pretty motivated, and God sent his angels to help navigate me through this journey of not having a mom and not having that guidance. Like, God just put so many incredible people in my life to help me and support me as I went through this whole journey. I was pretty driven from the beginning. I think it's just instilled in me. That's just how I was, right? And so then fast forward, I had kids, and my first child, AJ, he was born, and I was in school the whole time. So I didn't really get to enjoy childhood. I was going to school full time. I had support of my family taking care of him. I worked 32-hour weekends, y'all, 32-hour weekends. So I hear the excuses that I'm a single mom. I'm I don't know how I'm going to do it. I went to school 40-hour weeks, and I worked 7 a.m. to 11 at night. And I did it. And my neighbors and my family helped me out. And and then I graduated. But when I graduated from ultrasound school in 2002, I had my second child, or 2003. And that's when I got into photography, because I missed out so much on the first child, because I was in school all the time, and so I was at church, and I went to this local church, and they would have these little, I don't know, like fairs or classes. And there was this lady, one of the ladies that worked at the church. She was like, I'm doing this class on how to photograph your children. And I was like, oh, let me do this. It started out. So that's how my journey, just taking a camera and being more intentional of capturing those moments that I really missed out. And I just kept taking classes, and that's the baby that's 20 years old. So it started about 20 years ago.
So you said, and you said something very, very important. When people say, share with you, and let's use the word excuse, as you shared, let's call a spade, but I heard a quote recently that so resonated with me, and it's appropriate to share it here, that reason is another word for doubt.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, because so often, like, they'll say, oh, like you said, I'm a single mother. Well, just because you had a husband doesn't mean that it didn't eliminate those X hours in school and X hours at the hospital, and then children. So, I mean, if you have that passion and drive and desire, you can do anything.
You'll find a way. You
will find a way.
The way will find you if you really want it.
Yeah. Exactly. And then what's also fascinating to me is that back to excuse/reason. is that you were not, you didn't go to college for photography. You didn't have those credentials. You just, and I don't mean just, but you took advantage of what was right there in front of you.
Yeah.
Which was the workshops there at church. And your motivation were capturing photographs of your kids because you were so busy. But the point is that, one step leads to the next step.
Yeah.
One step leads to the next step. So you're doing this and you're a mama bear and you're working at the hospital, and, your hubby is, he's a cutie pie, and I can see that he's very, very involved with you and your family, your sons. So how did that transition, Felicia, from taking photographs for the family and life, let's just say that, and to a career?
Well, it kind of, if you fast forward a little bit more, I was still playing around with the camera. It was just my side thing. I wouldn't even call it hustle. I just did it for fun. I don't even think I was charging anybody. And I got involved with, it was our 10-year anniversary. So it must have been like, I don't remember, 2009. It was our 10-year anniversary, I believe. And one of the photographers said that we hired was like, hey, I'm getting rid of my camera. And when someone has a camera and you see somebody else with a camera, it's like a code, like, oh my God, like I got a camera too, but I didn't have a professional camera. And I told him, I was like, oh, I have this incredible camera. I'm taking pictures of my kids. And he's like, I'm selling my camera. I'm going to go from Canon to Nikon. It's like Apple to Droid. Okay. And so he's like, would you like to buy it? And I'll teach you like more, like really how to do photography. And I was like, sure. Cause I felt like, okay, I'll buy this camera. So it was then that he started teaching me the different exposure, techniques on how to really use a camera and really create, the different lighting and the different techniques and stuff. And so from there, I just got more hungrier and more interested, still working. By now I'm working full-time in ultrasound. Full-time in ultrasound. I'm playing around on the weekends, still photographing my kids. I'm going to, so like many of us, I want to find like-minded people because I'm out of school. I'm bored. I don't want to talk about school anymore. That's my job. I need a hobby. I need something creative. I need an outlet. So I wanted to find more people that had this outlet. So I just went to meetup.com. And I found like-minded individuals that were carrying a camera, and we would meet on South Congress and take pictures, or we'd meet in a park, or we'd meet at the camera. And it was just, I was growing and I was just hungry to learn more. I wanted to take better pictures of my kids, and I wanted them to look like they looked in a magazine, because I'd look at the magazines and I was like, oh my God, how did they do that? And so that's kind of how that started. And I was just working, like I said, full time. And then one day, this was the pivot in my life. I was probably in my late 30s. I'm 48 now. So I was in my late 30s, and I was going to all these meetup groups. And when I would see people and models, what clicked in my head was like, it seems like what you think is beautiful is like maybe a Caucasian girl that's very skinny and very young, but I'm older. And I was like, I don't always want my pictures, my portfolio to look that way. Like, what about an older woman? Or what about a curvier woman? Or what about a woman with a hijab? Or why is it society's view of beauty? And I was like, I don't want to come back to a lot of the meetups because it was the same models again and again. But I get it. That's what they want. But to me, in my mind, I was like, is this how they see beauty? Like who's going to photograph me? Who's going to make me look so amazing? I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I've gained weight. I don't look like this 20-year-old model. My body doesn't move like this. And why is there not diversity? And so I was just mentioning it out loud, not anything against the model, but I was like, it's quite interesting that I go to all these things and it's always the same way that they view what beauty looks like. And so I voiced it, and someone's like, oh my God, you would like this particular mentor. And I started YouTubing her, and she started talking about empowering women, 35 plus demographic. And I was like, that's me. She's talking about me, and so it got me really excited. And here I am, my late 30s. My kids don't really depend on me as much. I had a little bit more freedom. I'd been married for quite a while. And I had put all my career, I was putting everything first, but I wasn't putting me first. And her messaging was like, you know, like, how can you put the mom first? How can you put the mom is doing everything for everybody. How can we celebrate her? How can we help her in her transitions, whether she's going through a divorce or whether she's transitioning out of having the kids into, you know, empty nester or whatever that might look like. And it just spoke volumes to me. And so that's when I probably in 2012, 2014, I transitioned to, I don't want to do kids. There's a kid photographer everywhere, but who's photographing the mom?
Wow.
Who's got the challenges of, I feel fat, I don't feel beautiful, I'm not, and I'm like, but we're all created uniquely. We don't all have to look the same. And how can I capture that in a photo to kind of reflect back what God has created you to be? Like, how do I create that reflection or create that anchor for that moment that maybe you got a new job, or maybe you went through a divorce and you made it, or maybe you went through cancer and you made it, or whatever it may be. Like, create that incredible anchor for that moment. And that's what lit the fire to kind of start the women's portraits. Like,
wow. And no offense to headshot, because that's all very important, but for business and the like, but you're capturing that real life and that journey too, because one of the things I see with you is that you establish relationships with individuals, and you then really not only do a photographic shoot with that person, a shoot, but then it's that journey of everything that's going on with them. So it's really very unique and very special, and it's so needed, because you know, as a business, I've been in business for many, many years, as my intro, you know, and I am a single parent, and so my daughters are probably even older than you. And yes, one is your age and one is a little older. But the point is that I could be your mother. And
I take it.
And so, but the reason I share that is that I look back, Felicia, at photographs of myself, you know, personal, family, what have you, but then also business. My daughter's in business with me. When I say in, when coming to trade shows, and without photographs, but really good photographs, you lose the essence of life. You really do. You do. And photographs are but good ones and chronicled are so important. So you started your business, and repeat the name again, please.
It's Felicia Reed Photography. I just started. It's my name.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. But you also said something, and she's putting it up on the trailer. Okay, very good. So you started this in the 2000. What did you say?
14, about 2014.
Okay, and so during this, so you're building your business, you're networking, you're growing, you're feeling, and that's the other piece I want to highlight to our guests is that, I mean, you know, when I share my story, and I share it only because it's fact, but I don't share it to impress anyone. I impress upon you that you can do it too.
Yeah.
Because I was just a goofy girl, you know, with a dream, you know, at 19. So, and with a lot of obstacles. So it just never stopped. And I think that, would you say, of the people you have met throughout your life, not just your career, but your life, that have continued on, it's really that they're staying with what is lighting their fire, their passion. Would you say that?
Yes, I agree. I totally agree that.
And so with your passion, with what you're doing, you have evolved that, and it continues to grow. I did come to your beautiful studio a few times, and again, it's beautiful and very unique.
And it didn't always start that way, because I was in my home. Like,
we'll share that.
It was in my home, and I did it created a 6-figure business in my kitchen and dining room and a front room. I didn't have a space that I owned. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a very important piece to your story, because you didn't allow, you know, those reasonings that, you know, that limitation, saying, oh, I don't have a studio. How can I have someone come? So you just continued on. But the other piece that you shared, Felicia, which will bring more to today with you, is that you, with the meetups, you surrounded yourself with like-minded people, or certainly people that were creatives. and you learned and continued to grow. But then when it didn't resonate any longer and you needed to grow again, you then didn't just sit back and say, well, I guess I don't fit in, or whatever excuse you might do. You shared your thoughts, and that led to your mentor, the photography mentor. Yes. And so mentorship is so critical. So critical.
Important.
Yes. And one of the mistakes I've made, and I don't criticize myself, by the way, with this, what I'm going to share, but back in 1990, there was not even Google. Forget about a mentor, you know?
Yeah.
And there wasn't an internet. There was nothing. And so, as I said, I don't blame myself, but I wish that this is just from my heart, that there had been people, you know? Yeah. And then when Tony Robbins, he used to carry his 7-track or whatever it's called, cassettes, yeah. You know, because I traveled in business, and Tony and I traveled together. So it's mentorship, and that has been now for your recent career as part of it. But before we go there, let's go to the beginning of COVID, or around then, when you personally had a setback.
It appeared to be a setback, maybe to some, but it wasn't for me.
That's why I say it with quotation. I was going to say a setback that leads to setups for comeback or evolution, but I wanted you to.
Yeah, so we moved. Fast forward to COVID, I'm still working out of my home. I've always been working out of my home, growing my business. And of course, like everybody, it was a shock, but it was the best year in business and one of the best years of my life, because I learned so much about me. And I was so proud, because if I back up just a sec.
Sure.
I quit my job when I was the age of 40 in 2016. So 2016, I quit my job in November of 2016. I quit ultrasound. I was probably just taking call for the next year, but I was full-time working, right? So I was networking, building a name for myself and doing all that. So we have from like 2017 to 2020, right? By the time I get to 2020, we're in a pandemic. I had done all the farming. I was harvesting at this point. And so I had created incredible relationships with bankers. I'm a profit first business. I pay myself and then I have all this reserve, you know, in my business to pay taxes and run my business. But again, I'm running out of my house, so I didn't have like a lot of overhead, but I was saving quite a bit of money. And I had been booked out by February, before pandemic. I was booked out 7 months in advance. None of us knew what was coming. None of us. We had no idea. It was like very foreign. I had, I had done backup. I had gotten a coach that summer before, a love coach, Helena Summer. She's like my favorite love coach. If you don't know her, you need to know her. And you need to interview her. She's like amazing.
Okay, I would love it.
Helena Summer had been working on my relationship. And we have been working on my relationship. I've been married maybe, 23 years. Maybe back then. Yeah, right. It's about 23 years. And I was going through some things. And she's like, Felicia, when you fix your relationship, you'll fix your business. Everything is energy, your energy. So we were working, moving into 2020. So mind you, there was work going on, but I had no idea what God was setting me up for. I had started with a bookkeeper. That was the first thing I delegated in 2017. I had made a relationship with the banker. I made all these relationships. So when we hit 2020 and we shut down, I had money on reserves. I didn't really stress about anything. I had an incredible team, my bookkeeper and my banker and my CPA. They were finding me the money, the free money, any kind of money. There was money to be found. And I was able to pay my PPP loan back. Yes, I got PPP loan, and, but I had things in place that I could get loans, and I can get those things. I had profit and loss statements. I had all of these things. And
very important.
Very, very important. And I had set, like, my business was pretty legit. I just became an S corporation too. And then I was just enjoying my life, but I wanted to show up consistently on social media. And that's when I really used my network. And I started like, okay, let me interview like this. Let's get on. Let's talk about your business. How can you serve them during a time like this? So I was like still farming and building relationships and not forgetting about my network and figuring out how I can serve them. I was being in my feminine energy and just relaxing it and waiting it out, trying to figure it out. There was times I would cry, like, what is going to happen to us? And then there was times I was like, oh, this is nice. Don't come over here. I like being by myself,
The
And then
creatives got creative during that season.
oh, we got really creative. And
Yes.
then so many incredible things just happened. And I was starting to show up. I was just constantly showing up on social media, and with so much darkness and so much, negative stuff happening in the world around that time, because there was George Floyd, there was a whole bunch of stuff. I decided, just how can I bring the light to my side of the internet? How can I be the sunlight? How can I be the sunshine? How can I bring that, vibrant energy? Right. And I think that was very refreshing for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And then people just was like, how do you do it? I don't understand. Like, how are you this joyful?
Mm-hmm.
And how
are you?
And I was able to share, my relationship with God. I was able to witness to a lot of people. I was like, God, I don't know, God, business stuff. Oh, I got all these relationships, and I was able to refer people. But 2020 was really nice. And then I moved out of the house. A friend told me to come move into a studio, because I was afraid when we opened up to bring people back into the house.
I see.
Because we didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And then I got a grant, and it was God just lined it up. I got a grant that paid for my rent for a year, or maybe 9 months or so. Mm-hmm. And I was able to move out of the house and actually rent a space, and my business just continued to thrive. And I think that it was very telling that people they cherish so much life. They cherish so much of who they are. I think there was a lot of reflection. Each of us had this just reflective moment about what life is about. Like, our world is shutting down. We are not promised tomorrow. And I think that just helped women to just step more into their power. I think you probably got more coaching clients than you knew what to do with, because people were really starting to think about, what are they doing with their lives? What are we going to do? And so I was photographing more people that were transitioning or changing careers, or they may have gone through a crazy divorce, or maybe I was photographing couples that came together, more and more during the pandemic, and they wanted to celebrate those relationships. So to me, the pandemic was a very good season for me, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no. And myself, that's when Elizabeth and I started the Unique Leaders Live. I never went dark. I was at Novita Spa and Medical Rejuvenation Clinic every day, Felicia, every day. Because again, we're in Texas, so it wasn't as restricted. Yeah. And furthermore, I manufacture clinical skincare products. And so the show must go on. People need it. My warehouse was closed in Dallas, so I brought in more product than normal. Because like you said, we had no idea, And as long as FedEx was open, I was open, So I became the shipper, because people do buy products online. So you become, creative and use your ingenuity. So that's during that season is when she and I kind of quarantined with her, because she'd come over, and we continue doing our stuff. And with my staff, to keep them engaged, we started doing what I called the pop-up shop. That's how we found StreamYard, because my little brain said, oh, let's do a live on Facebook. Well, that didn't work, because I wanted multiple streams. We could have done Zoom, but that's when we found StreamYard. So again, it really prompted creativity and ingenuity, to keep the show on the road. Yeah. And so during that season, that's when the guy knocked on my door. Because I was there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I physically was there, and Elizabeth had just left. We had just done a Unique Leaders. I remember that. He knocked on the door, and it was locked, and I opened it up. Hi. And I thought he wanted to buy something, because birthdays and anniversaries still happen, right? You could have bought it online, but people did come down. Not a lot, but they did. And so he identified himself and said, would you like to sell me your business? And I'm like, excuse me?
Look at
God. So that is how that evolved. Yes. And when, like you said, when it's time, that time is there, the season is there. So with that said, so during this fruitful season for yourself, you had then another thing happen. Let's just call it that.
Thing.
With your health.
Yes. And that happened, fast forward to 2021. So that was the next year, huh?
Yeah.
That was literally the next year. Yeah. Time flies. It's crazy how it's all connected.
It's all mushed together. There's no doubt about that.
So it was 2021, November, before Thanksgiving. I decided to buy the property that I'm in now, and I put my earnest money down on my property. And then I put my earnest money on November, and then December I graduated with my mindset certification. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, actually master hypnotherapist, neuroenergetic encoding, and all of those things. And so I graduated with all that stuff. And so I was like, oh, okay, I got my mindset. What am I going to do now? Well,
Right.
a couple weeks after that, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so then I was like, okay, Lord, what is really going on? You know, I had my nervous breakdown and cried. And then I realized, I was like, well, I put my earnest money over here, God. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, you know, what am I supposed to do? This is what I've worked. You gave this to me. I wasn't even looking for it. Like, you know, and my intuition and conversation with God was just like, you know, I don't play games. This is what you're going to have to trust me, and you're going to have to use the tools that you have. And so I decided to use my mindset. So 2022, I started chemo. January 2022, I started chemo. And through that year, I went through 12 weeks of chemo, 12 weeks of chemo back to back. And I had 4 surgeries. And I was able to close still on the studio July 19th of 2022. So I've been here for 2 years, and I was able to work. I never was sick or anything. Honestly, I know a lot of you out here watching like, oh, Felicia, poor Felicia. There was no poor Felicia. I continued to work. I worked part-time. I was off Thursday. I had chemo Thursday. So I was off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I worked Monday and Wednesday in portraits, and Tuesday I would coach. And I created an online course in my chemo. So I looked at my chemo day as my vitamin day and my go dark work hour day. Don't mess with me. Don't talk to me. We got money moves to make. And so then I created my online course for photographers making money moves. And that I literally put it together in like 2 seconds. And in 2 weeks, I made like $15,000. And to me, that was a lot because it was a beta test, you know.
Of course.
And so I just embraced it. Like, this was time that I needed to just trust God. I had to wholly trust God because I had to come up with 120,000 cash over here. I'm like, I'm not working full time. I'm working part-time, but I trust you, Lord. And it was still, they didn't want me to be around people. We still had COVID. And so allegedly I was immunosuppressed. Come to find out after all of this, they're like, your immune system was amazing, Felicia. Like, you know, God, but whatever. And so I really couldn't network like I wanted to. But again, I was in the harvest. I still kept networking. That's why it's so important for you to build those relationships and a name for yourself, operate with integrity and excellence, and give something that has such incredible value that, you know, they will look for you. You don't have to look for them. People will find you. And those were some amazing things that I did. And my body is a healing machine. And I did get coaching, you know, one of my coaches, and I did have a spiritual healer the whole time. I did use mindset coaching. I did use prayer. I use be at peace and sit down and let God, like let go and let God, like literally. And I just trusted the process. I had fun. I spoke healing over my body. I operated as if I was healed. I am healed. I am healthy. And it's all like, to me, in the mindsets and the identity that I had to step into. Like, even though I had cancer, my thought process was like, I was healthy when you diagnosed me. I'm still healthy. I'm a healthy person. I didn't think like a cancer patient. And I think that shocked a lot of people, and even shocked my family, because they didn't know how to deal with me because I wasn't like a cancer.
Well, you didn't ascribe to owning that you were sick. You know,
no, I was not sick. I was definitely not sick.
No, this foreign body invaded, and so let's deal with it. Goodbye and good luck. And so you approached it from that place. And so now with you, because when you started your coaching business, it was helping other photographers. So have you expanded that coaching piece to mindset and helping others going through?
I'm transitioning. I'm in the process now of just transitioning like all of my marketing to where it says entrepreneurs, because I've coached a home, organizer. I was very proud of myself. I've coached, she found me based on my story. I'm coaching currently a nutritionist. She's absolutely amazing. And the mindset tools is, I mean, photography was just a low hanging fruit. And what I
Exactly.
realized was, that a lot of us photographers started at the same place on a bridge, downtown Congress, taking pictures as a hobby. And how do I excel here? And I'm just like, then I get to the next level and we have the same mentor and I'm excelling and the mentor's feeding us the same information. And it's like, how am I excelling? And you're still there. Let's go. Let's go. And I realize it doesn't matter what you give them. You can tell them the whole secret to the Kentucky Fried Chicken. They'll still mess it up. I'm just saying, because it's a mindset. It's things that are holding them back, overwhelm, anxiety, that stuckness, that they have so many different programs that they're just not aware of. Like, we're just programmed from a young age, and we're going to just live out those programs until I had to learn. I didn't know what coaching was. I didn't know I was living out those different programs in my marriage and my life until I had a coach that can help see those things and educate me and tell me how to release those things so that I can actually see the progress in my life.
That is it. And I think another piece to all of it, like you said, starting, from when we're young children, and because this is applicable to guys as well as women, is that are we worthy of it? Because there's so many perpetuations of the narrative. Like you said, the skinny young white girl, right, was the model avatar. Well, that ain't true. I mean, we are all God's gift. And so are we worthy? And because I know myself, for whatever reason, my person, that nurture nature, I have a personality of over the horizon, always, questing, but also I was brought up by two my father certainly was an entrepreneur, and outside of New York City, in a very blue collar neighborhood. And so, which I didn't even know that, but that didn't matter because it was so fun, Yeah. And so New York City, and they didn't have a lot of money. So we just traipsed around Manhattan, and went into free things, like museums and the like. Yeah, that was my creative beginning. And so I just thought that everybody, did that. So I didn't really carry a lot of worthiness stuff. But I see it very clearly with people because that's part of that reasoning. Who am I to say I can have, a 6-figure, 7-figure business? Who am I? I didn't go to college for that. I didn't do that. I'm talking about me or anyone else. Yeah. But it's really about what that as we spoke last week about that mindset, and that you're going to continue on. And so let me ask you this. You have, how old are your sons now?
20 and 26.
Okay. Oh, okay. And they're adults.
Yeah.
And they must be so proud of their mama.
I think so. It's hard to tell. My boys are quite different. They don't show, maybe they are proud and happy for me, but they want to do the opposite of what I do. I want to encourage them. I want them to be entrepreneurs because I want them to do all kind of things. And they're like, Mom, I'm not you. I don't want to talk to people. They are like, I'm like, how did you come from my loins? Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, I don't like people that much. It's crazy.
Well, the other piece to that is that it's never too early or too late. So they may evolve to something
into it. I hope so. That's my prayer.
That sparks them into that. Yeah. So let's, as we, finish this, we have a mutual friend that I met, Regina Fleming, that I met at an event that Glenn Lundy, and I know you don't know Glenn Lundy probably, but for whatever reason, I'm not going to go into the long story, but I met Glenn Lundy probably in 2018, and he had a morning show on Facebook every morning. Felicia, this guy did this morning show. Really, you talk about commitment. And I was introduced to that by somebody, but he resonated so with me that I just, because he was on at 5 in East Coast, so that meant 4 our time. Wow. So what it did, though, for me, which I didn't even realize at the time, was really changing some some lifestyle habits. I habitually went to bed too late. I didn't get up late, but I didn't sleep enough,
Yeah.
So in order to get up at 4 a.m. or 4:40 at 3:45, you had to go to bed a little earlier.
Oh, yeah.
So I started doing that. So anyhow, he then had in real time things. And he had an event in New York City in the July, I believe, of 21. And it was called the Consortium. And so with that, he also had gotten onto Clubhouse, which is an audio app.
I remember Clubhouse.
Okay. And he had the room Breakfast with Champions. So he linked the Facebook Live to Clubhouse and all that. Okay. So he had this consortium thing. So there were a lot of people there from the Rise and Grind days, but also from Clubhouse days.
Wow.
And then there was a fashion show. It was in Queens, across the river, East River from Manhattan. And it was at this hotel, the Borough Hotel. And it wasn't a big fancy hotel. It was a really cool place though.
Yeah.
And it had an a patio thing up on the top roof, And so this fashion show went on upstairs on on the roof.
Yeah.
So who was photographing this whole deal was
Regina.
Okay.
That's how you met her.
And so because I'm such a nosy son of a gun, this is part of my personality. And so, I wasn't really interested. I'd spend a couple of days with a lot of these people and the models were just people that, were there.
Yeah.
And so wow, she's cool. I want to know her. And so I asked her, did she want something to drink, whatever.
Oh.
And so at the end of it, she said to me, are you going into the city? And I said, yeah, actually, I'm going to spend the weekend. She said, well, we're going to get together. I said, okay. So she called me on Saturday and she said, meet me. It's true story.
You just meet a stranger.
But she said to me, meet me at Columbus Circle. Okay. Now, mind you, I'm a New Yorker, so I know where Columbus Circle is, but I was down in the Village. So I took a cab up and I met her there. She goes, okay, we're getting on the subway. Put your mask on. I was like, oh, geez, because this is 21 and this is New York. Mm-hmm. So I have no mask on. So I put a mask on and we get on the subway and we pass the World Trade Center exit or stop.
Yeah.
So I go, where the heck are we going? She won't tell me. She will not tell me where we're going. And so I knew, though, the next stop was Staten Island and or the Statue of Liberty.
Oh.
So we get there. So we then get off the subway, get onto the ferry and go out to Lady Liberty. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
I'll send you the photograph.
Just to hang out. Just to hang out for the day.
And so now, as you know, she's a marathoner, right?
Yes.
And so we go there, we walk around, we get on the boat, go back, and we go to Soho. And now it's fairly late and she's a vegan. And so we had to find a vegetarian restaurant. So I'm like trying to keep up with this person. And she's like, my daughter, right? So
it's just such a small world.
Really, just such a small world.
And I met her in person for the first time last year when we were at conference. First time in person. We've known each other online for a long time.
Yeah. But that's a long story, guys, our guest. But the reason I'm sharing it in detail is I really didn't know Felicia that well, but we connected and we're local. We live in the same area. And then I go off and meet this other person. But the point is when I saw them together at that in real time, it's like, oh my God, there's Felicia and Regina. God has a plan for everything. You just have to get out of your own way.
That is the truth.
You have to just get out of your own way and be ready to be ready.
Stay ready.
So just be ready. Just stay in that ready, mode. Yeah. So you now do which I'm going to go to this coming year, an an event that you had at the W Hotel, and there's W's in every major city in the United States and the world probably. So tell us about this event and what that's about, because again, I want you guys that are listening to really see that this evolution of her story, and she's just beginning. So go.
Yeah.
Share that.
So I started in 2020 before the pandemic, right? In like February, I started this campaign to photograph 40 women over the age of 40. And I wanted to celebrate them because I'm in town and I see these magazines, 40 under 40, 30 under 30. And what the message to me is like, if you ain't young, you ain't worth celebrating. That's the message that I get.
Yeah, I agree.
Or if you're not in tech, you're not worth celebrating. Or if you're not with this group of people, you're not worth celebrating. So to me, I was like, if you don't have it, if you create it, okay? And so I was like, I'm 40. I quit my job when I was 40. And there's incredible women, 50, 60, 70, doing amazing things. Like life isn't over. Some of these women are 50 years old. Some of the women are photographed at 53. They decide to quit their like day job and start a whole entrepreneurial journey. And I was like, you're worthy to be celebrated. Amen. And I wanted to crush ageism. I wanted to change the way on my side of the internet. That's all the power that I have right now, is the way that society viewed beauty and viewed age. Like I feel the older that I'm getting, I'm 48, I'll be 49. I can't wait till I'm 50 next year. Like I want to tell people I'm 50 so bad because I look good, you know, like, and I'm just exactly. I'm like, oh my God, like I love aging. And the older that I get personally, like it would be nice to have the youth back, but it's okay. Like I've gone through a lot and I've made it through. I'm wiser. I'm more knowledgeable. I love the woman that I'm becoming. I'm embracing this body that I'm in now, especially after cancer. And I just wanted to celebrate women. So I started in 2020 and I put a call out, booked 40 women in the then we came to the pandemic. So I wasn't able to have the party until 2021. And so we had the first one at the W Hotel, celebrated all the 40 women. It takes me about a year to photograph for, you know, all the women. Then I create this magazine. I thought I had one right here, but I create this magazine and I put them in a magazine and make them feel like a magazine. They have hair and makeup and wardrobe. And I just want them to feel so amazing and create incredible legacy photos that make them look like the best version of them. Legacy photos that they can pass down to their family. Legacy photos that when they're 80, they can look back and they can say, I remember that day. I remember how I felt. I remember exactly what the music I was listening to. I remember, like I'm always creating anchors with photos to take people back to happy moments. And then, so I've done it 2021, 22, 23. Yes, we just celebrated the W in 23. I'm on my 4th round and we're photographing women. I still have room for some more women and we're having it at Hotel Jaja. I decided to mix it up a little bit.
Oh, that's cool.
So I just like, well, that's a fun hotel. Nothing wrong with W, but it's kind of fun. And I'm going to be doing it at Hotel Jaja. And I create this incredible magazine. And this year, because I'm on the board for the Breast Cancer Resource Center now, before I wasn't, before this fundraiser, but just recently they asked me to be on the board for a couple of years. And I did a fundraiser, like some of the proceeds from the sale would go to the Breast Cancer Resource Center. I actually did my first sponsorship. So I had people to help sponsor and pay for it because it is like a wedding. It's huge. It's huge. And it's, to me, it's mega networking because
I've just seen photos and it's beautiful. It's
because
stunning.
I might know you and then I photograph this client. I'm like, oh my God, you need to meet so-and-so. Oh my God, you would be best friends, but you don't know each other. And so how can I create networking, celebration, empowered women, 40, 50, 60, 70, just celebrate. I mean, how often can you tell me aside from getting married, that we celebrate women 40 plus when we're old? When?
No, it's
there's no bar mitzvahs, there's no birthdays, there's no.
It's so vital to that. So I just had my 74th birthday.
Then you need to come. It's your time.
And yes, ma'am. And next year, so this year to me, so I just completed my, trip around the sun. So I'm into my 75th trip, right? And so August 12th, I will mark that 75th trip, right? Yeah. And so this is going to be a big year for me. So I'm absolutely going to be doing your event, to celebrate. And I'm doing a TED Talk.
Oh, really? For your birthday
and
or before then?
no, this year, October 27th. But the point of sharing it today, this is the first time I've said it. I haven't started advertising it yet,
Oh, wow.
but I'm sharing in light of doing your event, okay? Because I want women to understand that it's never too early or too late. And so, Felicia, I had applied to do a TED Talk quite a few times.
Yeah.
And it's not I mean, you have to align with, they're all independent. And so
Okay.
this was just God. I mean, it just was God that I was accepted. And because a
Wow.
lot of people apply, and it's so it's October, and so their message aligned with what I had written,
Love
So
that.
that is how it happened. So the
Congratulations.
thank you. But to me though, it's God saying, "Okay, girl," because that's essentially what my talk is about. It's about innovation and creativity, but I'm weaving in everything that we're speaking about.
Never
And
too late. Never too late.
it's never, no matter what.
As long
no
as you
matter
have breath in your lungs, there
Amen.
is purpose for you. God is not finished with you.
Exactly. And that's the theme of your story. That is the theme of Propel. And watch out, world. Felicia Reed is just getting going. And I cannot wait to see what you're going to be doing next. Very exciting. And I'm thrilled to know you, my friend.
I don't know what I'm going to be doing next. I'm just like, God just open and closes doors all day and all night. I don't mind the doors these days when they get closed. I'm like, thank you for your protection.
No, it is about that. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, my dear. And Elizabeth has been putting all of your information here.
Thank you.
But as I said earlier, this will be in the archives of the Propel community, as well as our YouTube page forever and a day. So please go and listen to this again, because there were so many nuggets of wisdom and hope and infinite possibilities just over the horizon. You just have to start and never stop. So thank you, Felicia, for joining me. And if you'd like to hang out in the green room for a minute, I'm just going to do a little close, and I'll be back over there in a minute.
Thank you.
Thank you, love. Wow. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Felicia Reed is a true hope and possibilities girl, and her story just is propelling not only she, but hopefully you wrote down some nuggets of just inspiration, because she is a true inspiration of just starting and not stopping. But most importantly, guys, it's that passion, that creative passion. And her identity, her purpose was identified to her. And that is now all of this coaching and working and really highlighting other people as well. So I'm thrilled to have had Felicia with me today. So I will see you next week, next Wednesday, on another Propel Deep Dive. And if you haven't already, do join us in the Propel community, propel.megandimartino.com/info. And we will see you soon. Be blessed.
Hello, peace. Hello.